toward the front if you can. There are lots of seats to my left. All these seats over here. Look at that. Don't be afraid to cross behind me and fill in the space. We can open up now to page 128. Look in the lower right-hand corner. These books open from right to left. If you have two numbers in the lower right-hand corner, look at the one in brackets. The bracketed page, 128, Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman. Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman. Meshoch Avdecha Eretz Onecha Meshoch Avdecha La 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 Eretz Onecha. Again, 128. Again. Yedi Nefesh Av HaRachaman. Yedi Nefesh Av HaRachaman. Meshoch Avdecha Eretz Onecha Meshoch Avdecha La 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 Eretz Onecha Yarutz Avdecha Yarutz Avdecha, Yarutz Avdecha, Kemo Ayah, Ishtachavei, El Mul Hadarecha, El Mul Hadarecha.
Shabbat Shalom. So, of course, it's not only college Shabbat, it's also Thanksgiving. And I like to think about this Shabbat. I love to be present on the Friday night after Thanksgiving because I think a lot of times, well, first of all, Thanksgiving is complicated, right? It's complicated. First of all, it's history and, strange celebration of something that probably shouldn't be celebrated. And then the preparation of the food and all the things about menu and all the effort, get ready, and then all the people, and maybe there are dynamics, and I'll be saying a little bit about that later, but, there's that, and then there's eating too much, and then today is Black Friday. I don't know if people do that, but, it's a lot of things. And to the degree that it can be a deep meditation about gratitude, that's amazing. But my guess is that for a lot of people, it's really hard to even fully arrive there because there's so much else going on. And so then because we're Jewish, we also, it's always on a Thursday. The Shabbat's the very next day. And so we get to arrive here into this sanctuary and time, and this chapel, and this space, and breathe a little bit. Like, find yourself here. Find your body. You're alive. It's amazing to be alive. We're here. We get a whole Shabbat just to rest. Don't have to shop. Oh my gosh. You don't have to shop. Don't have to cook. I mean, probably a little bit, but probably not very much. There's probably leftovers. You don't have to eat too much anymore. You're done. You know, like probably a lot of like whatever the swirling kind of big family, extended family stuff is probably there's a little more spaciousness there. Oh my gosh, okay, here we are, it's Shabbat. And so now, maybe you went around the table last night and talked about what you were grateful for, and that is so great. But now, like really, you can be in this space while we sing, while we pray. It's all about gratitude, the whole thing. So you don't have to do anything different than what's on the page. And you can actually arrive at the best part of this holiday, which is actually taking time to notice what you are genuinely grateful for. Not what you think you're supposed to be grateful for, not what other people are grateful for, not what's the headlines of what, we're grateful. What are you really in your heart? If you look and you're honest, what are you grateful for? And what might you notice if you start really thinking about that and attending to it? What might emerge that you didn't even know you were grateful for? And what if you used this next bit of time as we sing together to let that just be your focus? And if your mind wanders, which guaranteed to do, just bring it back. Oh yeah, wait a minute, what am I grateful for? Oh, here comes the next part. What am I grateful for? And just feel your heart, just feel your body, just feel your breath, just feel yourself here, and just notice. So that is our Kabbalah for the evening. We're going to now turn to Psalms that are all about gratitude and joy. And so we're going to turn to page 130. Lechu neranena are the words. Come, let us sing out. Because there's so many reasons to sing out, because there's so many things to be grateful for.
Facing page 131. Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruchu Shemo, Masru, Miyom leYom Yeshuato, Sapru v'goyim kevodo, Bechol ha'amim nifleotav. Gadol Adonai U'me'ulal me'od Nora'u Al kol Elohim ואדוני שמיים עשה, הוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו. ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירם הים ומלואו, יעלו שרי וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצי לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט ארץ בצדק ועמים באמונתו. איי אללה איי אללה איי אללה איי אללה איי אללה איי 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 אדוני מלך תגל הארץ, ישמחו עם רבים, ענן וערפל סביבה, צדק ומשפט בכל כיסו. אוהבי אדוני שנאו רע, שומר נפשות חסידיו, מיד רשעים יצילם. אור זרו על הצדיק ולישרי לשמחה, שמחו צדיקים באדוני והודו לזכר קודשו. 133 במזמור שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, כי נפלאות עשה, הושיע לו ימינו וזרוע קודשו. הודיע אדוני ישועתו, לעיני הגויים גילה צדקתו, זכר חסדו ואמונתו, לבית ישראל ראו כל ארצי הארץ את ישועת אלוהינו. הריעו לאדוני כל הארץ, פיצחו ורננו וזמרו, זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה, בחצות צרו וכל שופר. הריעו לפני המלך, אדוני רם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה, ונהרות ימחאוך יחד המים. ירננו לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט תבל בצדק ועמים במישרים. יאללה אללה לה לה יאללה אללה יאללה לה 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 אללה יאללה לה לה יאללה אללה יאללה לה לה. The middle of page 137. Adonai oz le'amo yitem, Adonai yevarech et amo. Adonai oz le'amo yitem, Adonai yevarech et amo. Ay, 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 Shalom. Ay, 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 Shalom. Adonai oz, Adonai oz le'amo yiteh, Adonai yevarech et amo. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo. Ay, 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 vashalom. Ay, 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 vashalom. Just our voices now. Ay, 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 vashalom. Ay, 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 vashalom. These last few verses of Psalm 29, which we sing almost every week. In fact, we sing all these psalms pretty much the same way every week. Surprise, I don't know if you knew that Friday night services could be like this, but this is actually how we do Friday night services. That's actually the beginning of Rabbi Timoner's vision for CBE, that everyone should have a sense of nifla, a sense of wonder and surprise, like, wow, I didn't know Friday night could start with drinks and nosh. I didn't know that Friday night could start with beautiful music and getting to know people and reconnecting with people, but actually this is what we do every single week. And I wonder, as we continue to welcome Shabbat with Lecha Dodi on page 138, what are the other ways that you were surprised this year in the Jewish calendar, this semester in the academic calendar? This psalm is a prayer for strength and for wholeness, completeness. And anyone who's ever studied something in an intense sort of way knows that it takes a lot of energy. And sometimes it takes pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones. And so I wonder, just to yourself, as we sit together in these next few moments, how did you surprise yourself with untapped sources of strength, with the possibility of completing something which you didn't know you could? My 10-year-old reminded me that if you pull a single all-nighter, your body activates a certain sort of hormone which gives you a sense of joy and elation. Maybe it's a sort of survival mechanism. I don't know if anyone can relate to that after pulling an all-nighter, but how did you surprise yourself by getting through something which you didn't know you could? Let's just take a few moments and sit with that question. We can answer it for ourselves. Page 138, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, U'shmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat לכו ונלכה, כי בכל הברכה מראש מקרב נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקרא. Let's hear it. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר הברי כבוד אדוני. אלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה בני שבת. Verse 8 ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תריצי על יד איש בן פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה לך דודי לקראת קהל. Hello. בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהל. Verse 9 בואי ושלום התרבה לך גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה. Stay standing. לך דודי לקראת קהלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה בני שבת נקבלה. We can do better. לך דודי לקראת קהלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה בני שבת נקבלה יאללה יאללה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה בני שבת נקבלה. We remain standing, page 144, חצי קדיש. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ואמר דברך רותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קר ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ועלמה ואמרו Let's read together at the bottom. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzivaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim. 150. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Torah משפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, והם נגד יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. 154. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. Page 158. There sure are some beautiful voices in the room this evening. This setting of Mi Chamocha is call and response, so I'll sing it and then you sing it back. Ready? Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilo Oseh מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זיילי אנו ואמרו אדוני לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
The very next page, page 160, we come to our prayer at nighttime, asking for protection, asking for peace, and also asking for safety. And so we think about all those people who need shelter, who we actually ask for shelter, for protection, physical protection, but also all kinds of protection. Think about people who are in danger of any kind. Think about people who are out on the streets as it's going to start to get colder, has already started getting colder. People who need a warm place to be, people who need a safe place to be, anywhere in the world. And we imagine that we could, from this warm, safe place, spread out a shelter of peace across this neighborhood, across this borough, across this city, across this country, across this world. Everybody in, everybody warm, everybody safe, everybody protected. Then we would truly have shalom, wouldn't we? We'd truly have peace. From that prayer, we're going to go into Misha Berach, which is our prayer in which we call to mind people we know or know of who need healing, who need that kind of protection from harm, from illness, or perhaps they have had surgery, or perhaps they're hurting in their mind or in their heart or in their spirit. And we will pause in the middle of that prayer, and you can say out loud any names of people you're thinking about, and we'll fold them all together into the second half of the prayer when we get there.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomerenu L'chaim Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shelomecha V'takenenu Be'etzah tova milfanecha Ve'hoshienu leman shemecha Ve'hagen ba'deinu Ve'haser me'aleinu oyev dever Ve'cherev ve'rahav ve'yagom Ve'harchek mimenu avon V'afesha U'b'tzel kenafecha tastirenu Ki el shomreinu Matzilenu ata Ki el chanun rachum ata Ushmor tzetenu Uvoenu lechayim Uleshalom me'ata ve'yad olam Me'ata ve'yad olam Baruch atah Adonai HaPoreh Sukat Shalom Aleinu Ve'al kol amo Yisrael Ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 371. Sheberach avotenu v'kol habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
We pray for healing for the people we name now. pray together.
מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of life, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, we turn back in our prayer books to page 162 for singing the Shamru, and that will be followed by silent prayer from 164 to 181, using the words of those pages, the words we find in our hearts. For now, page 162, please rise. Shalom. Ay, 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 Vashalom. Page 178. Ay, 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 Vashalom. Ay, 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 Vashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael v'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. All of us. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Many people in this room tonight grew up at CBE and are currently in college, which means that many people in this room were once fifth graders in Yachad, which means that many people in this room participated once upon a time in the great trial of Jacob versus Esau. You may recall that fifth graders find themselves preparing for months for an elaborate courtroom scene divided between Jacob and Esau and their partisans, in which every member of the class is defending or prosecuting one brother or the other. They develop legal briefs. Parents come in to adjudicate. It's the focal point of the year, or a focal point of the year. If you did this, raise your hand. Okay, they're not high, but there's a lot of hands. Okay. Well, here we are. This Shabbat in Parshat Toldot, this very Torah portion. A rare portion occupied almost entirely by one story, and it's this story. Some of you obviously know it. For those who might not, here we have a dysfunctional family on display. The parents, very much so. Yeah, hi. The parents, Isaac and Rebekah, openly favor one child or the other. The kids, Esau and Jacob, twins, are as different from one another as can be. They battle for dominance, starting in the womb and then beyond. And ultimately, Rebekah and Jacob trick blind Isaac into bestowing the family birthright onto younger brother Jacob by disguising him as his older brother. Esau, upon discovering the deception, vows to kill the younger brother, and Jacob flees for his life. As is familiar to all former Yachad fifth graders, our commentators are very ready with critique of these characters. You have Esau, who in the text itself is pretty innocent, but he's made out to be either stupid or the ultimate villain by the rabbis, who criticize his passion for hunting as a harbinger and symbol of the violence of ancient Rome, and therefore the personification of evil. You have Isaac,
whose blindness is read as ineptitude and insensitivity to the others in the family. You have Rebecca, who is often read with a dollop of misogyny as a conniving and manipulative housewife and mother. And you have Jacob, who the rabbis want to defend as the father of our people, but is the most overtly unethical in first convincing his starving brother to trade his birthright for a bowl of lentils, and then impersonating his brother to his father, exploiting his father's disability, and openly lying to his father to get the birthright and the blessing that is clearly intended for his brother. On this particular Shabbat, I can't help but imagine this family around a Thanksgiving table. Here we have the parent who isn't tuned into the kids, doesn't really see them, has a fixed and limited sense of who they are. Here we have the parent who's trying to control the outcome and the path for each child. Here we have the kid who feels entitled, who thinks everything's coming to them. They deserve it all. Here we have the competition between siblings to be seen, to be the best, to be the most loved. Whatever the dynamics of your Thanksgiving table last night, at least you didn't have Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, and Esau around it. That is another thing to be grateful for. Being in a family is wonderful, and sometimes being in a family is also hard. And when we come back from college for Thanksgiving, and I bet almost everyone in this room can identify with this or remember it, even if it was a really long time ago, you get plunged back into whatever those dynamics of your family are. No matter how loving and healthy your family is, there's always stuff. Every family is at least a little bit complicated. And even if you're changing and growing in all kinds of ways at college, you're part of a family system. We all are. And coming home means you regress right back in to whatever your place and role is in that family system. And parents, by the way, are also growing and changing all the time, adjusting to living without our kids at home. But when they do come home, we find ourselves back in familiar patterns. Anyone recognize this? It can be jarring for everyone. But there are two things we can learn from our biblical ancestors in this parsha that might help us. First, while it's possible to see the characters in this story with a critical eye, it's also entirely possible to see each one of them with compassion and the benefit of the doubt. Check this out. It all starts with Rebecca, who's most often blamed. But because she comes up with the plan and dresses Jacob up and tells him to lie to his father. But if we just look at the beginning of the parsha, she feels her kids wrestling in her womb when she's pregnant with them and calls out to God, trying to understand what is happening and how to be their mother. And God tells her that her children are going to be in conflict and her younger child will be the one to prevail. So when it comes time for the birthright to be given to one child, she is just trying to fulfill what God has instructed, and she doesn't seem to have a way to appeal to Isaac directly, perhaps because of her limited role as a woman, or perhaps because of his blindness in all forms. Meanwhile, Isaac is deeply compromised. The Midrash says that when Isaac was tied up by his father Abraham and almost sacrificed at the top of the mountain, angels looked down upon him and wept. And the tears from the angels landed in his eyes, and that's what caused his blindness. From that perspective, he's not willfully failing to see his family. He is a traumatized person doing his very best. Meanwhile, you could see Esau as a sensitive soul who loves being outside in nature and who simply wants to please his father with delicious food. You could see him as connected to the earth and the natural world and the body in a way that the rest of his family could learn from. And then there's Jacob, who's been given a sense that he's supposed to prevail, and yet he's not as big or as strong as his big brother in a world where size and strength are everything. A world that doesn't value intellectualism. The rabbis have him studying in a yeshiva during this time. And a world that doesn't value the interior life. So he does what he can. He uses his mind and his cooking skills to fulfill his literal God-given destiny. Everybody here is just trying their best. Everybody here has some unique skill or ability or quality that the others could benefit from, if only they could see it that way. And the second thing, maybe the most important thing we can learn from this family and this parsha, is to challenge limiting assumptions. The entire drama of the portion is driven by the assumption that there is only one birthright and that there is only one blessing. But it is not true. Not at all. Rebekah and Jacob get pitted against Isaac and Esau in the battle over the idea that there's scarcity when there's actually not scarcity. After Jacob steals Esau's birthright and receives Isaac's blessing, and Esau comes in to find that the blessing has already been bestowed, he howls in pain and begs his father to bless him too. And Isaac does. There's more than one blessing, apparently. That's always been true and always been possible. Okay, you might say, but the birthright wasn't just the blessing, it was also maybe the inheritance of Isaac's wealth. But if that's so, it appears that if anyone inherited the wealth, it was Esau, because Jacob leaves town and accrues his own wealth. But it's not clear, really, and they both end up with more than they need. Jacob becomes the father of the Jewish people, and Esau becomes the father of another large nation, the Edomites. Both have wealth and progeny and blessing. What exactly were they fighting about? Our world and our families are full of limiting assumptions about what's possible and what's not possible, about who we are and who we can be, about how we are with each other and about how we live. Because we were born with these assumptions already operating in our family or in our society or in our human family, we often can't even see them. We don't even know they're there. And in that sense, we're all Isaac, just unable to see what's right in front of us and what's possible. But sometimes, with a little distance or perspective, the fabric itself of the family or the society or the universe becomes a little more visible. And we realize that the container, the very rules of the game, could be different, could be changed. There's more than one blessing. We're in a moment when such clear seeing, such leaps in vision are needed, are existentially needed. They're not just needed, but they're going to happen. I believe that. We're on the cusp. We're all about to see things differently because we have to. You, who are between worlds, shuttling in and out of your family systems, between the world of home and the world of college, have opportunity to practice seeing limiting assumptions for what they are. This opportunity, this capacity, is to be cultivated and communicated very gently and kindly to those still operating with the old assumptions. The combination of compassion for each of the players involved, holding them in the benefit of the doubt, along with questioning limiting assumptions, is the exact combination we need in our families, in our society, in our world. So I'd like to invite up all of our college students for a moment of blessing. And guess what? There's enough blessings for all of you. First of all, I just have to say it makes me so happy to see you all. Welcome back. Let me turn toward you somehow. Squeeze in a little bit. You've got the sweatshirt on. This sweatshirt for the CBE class of 2021. How cool is that? May you hold your dear families with the compassion and empathy and benefit of the doubt that they deserve. May you hold yourselves with the compassion, empathy, and benefit of the doubt that you deserve. May you feel yourself blessed with ample blessing, knowing and feeling that there's enough blessing to go around. May you see with crystal clarity the limiting assumptions all around you and question them and challenge them and communicate them with gentleness and the acuity that best helps others to see them too. And then may you blow through those limits, helping us all reimagine what's possible in our society, in our families, and in our world, so that so desperately needs reimagining. Can you hear that song? Welcome home. Shabbat Shalom.
As our students make their way back to their pews and before we move into the conclusion of our service, Rabbi Timoner, I wonder if we can all learn a song. Is it out of time?
I think it's time to learn our song.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can stay up there if you want, or we can come back and have a seat.
I'm gonna sit down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on June 30th, 2015, which was the day before you officially started here at CBE as our senior rabbi, there was a TED Talk given by someone named Sophia Efthimiou. Anyone tune in for that? She was doing a TED Talk on the importance and the power of singing together and how it's good for the body and for the soul and for communal well-being. And then, of course, the last couple of years, we were denied the opportunity to sing together in person because of COVID. And so she went and made a virtual choir video of the song that we're going to sing together. But I just think it's so perfect and so profound for this moment, looking around this room and all of us calling CBE our home in some way. So Rose and I are going to teach you this song, and you'll find that there are 3 parts, and you can choose the part that feels right to you. It's very simple. It goes like this. This is home where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home where I belong. In this voice, in this song. Let's try it together. This is home. This is home where I belong, where I belong. In this breath, in this breath, in this heart, in this heart. This is home. This is home where I belong, where I belong. In this voice, in this voice, in this song, in this song. If you want a little higher, you can sing it higher. This is home where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home where I belong. In this voice, in this song. Both parts together. Here's where we started. This is home where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home where I belong. In this voice, in this song. And there's a 3rd part up here. This is home where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home where I belong. In this voice, in this song, everyone choose a part. This is home where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home where I belong. In this voice, in this song, just our voices. This is home where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home where I belong. In this voice, in this song. Beautiful. Let's continue singing and praising. Aleinu l'shabeach, page 586 in the middle. Please rise. יגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ונשכחנו לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. The middle of page 590. כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, חי ונאמן והיה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו Please be seated.
It's my pleasure to invite up our president, John Horowitz, to offer us some greetings on behalf of our Board of Trustees.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to welcome you all here this evening in person, as well as those of us who are joining us online. A special welcome, of course, to all of you college students, two of which of mine are in the room tonight, so certainly a special evening, so thank you all for joining us. As always, I want to thank our clergy, Rabbi Timoner, Cantor Breitzer, thank you so much for leading us. I want to thank Karen Gerwin for supporting us in person, and Stas Olshansky for providing audio and online support. Shabbat Shalom.
We always conclude our time by calling close the people we love whom we've lost, holding their memories near us. If you are in the first week since the death of someone you love, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering, if you're in Shiva. And if this is Shloshim, if this is the first 30 days since the loss of a loved one, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. And if you are in Shana in the first year since the death of a loved one, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. And if this is a yahrzeit for you, the anniversary of a death, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. And we all rise in company with the mourners among us. We remember these recent losses in our congregational community. Jeanette Myers, great aunt of Mara Sandroff. Donald Snitz, grandfather of Rose Snitz. Betty Adelson, mother of Rabbi David Adelson, mother-in-law of Lynn Harris, and grandmother of Bee and Sam. Leon Hutt, father of Shira Hutt, father-in-law of Jonathan Cornwell, and grandfather of Talia and Kobe. Stephen Radwell, brother of Jody Radwell and uncle of Atticus. Bess Bernstein, grandmother of Deborah Bernstein. Lawrence Rosenberg, father of Becca Rosenberg, father-in-law of Adam Copeland, and grandfather of Lila and Jordan. Daniel Goldberg, brother of Elaine Kleinberg, brother-in-law of Bennett Kleinberg, and uncle of Eliza and Mara. And these yahrzeits: Lawrence Adler, Betz Lifland Appel, Alvin Bernstein, Jacob Blank, Bernard Block, Rosa Block, Edward Charles Blum, Betty Brenner, Muriel Brody, Laura Cohen, Pearl Ellman, Barbara Feld, Sarah Feldstein, Rose Fischel, Mary Fishman, Natan Fishman, Samuel Frank, Irving Gerstmann, Sheldon Gleiberman, Ruth Haskell, Deborah Ray Hoffman, Gladys Kalban, Seymour Kleinhandler, Evelyn Kossoy, Robert Lebenson, Anna Lechner, Arthur Leeds, Helen Levine, Albert Libusser, Abraham Mallon, Herbert Mann, Morris Mazursky, Lucille Strauss-Newman, Harry Nightingale, Clara Perlman, Edith Pelsner, Joseph Pecheski, Tony Rosengarten, Romana Rosenson, Peter Schlossberg, Abe Schumer, Ann Silverman, Harold Sylvie, Jason Sinclair, Barbara Thomas, Elaine Vogel, Carrie Wexler, Michael Weil, Jack Weeder, Ruth Wolfort. Holding them all together, we say Zichronam Livracha. May their memory be an everlasting blessing. As we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'alam olalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei t'kudesha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya ve'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the maker of peace make peace for all who mourn. We say together,
Amen. Page 625, before we continue with Kiddush in the lobby, Adon Olam to the tune of a very simple, very American, very seasonal melody. Adon Olam asher mala beterem kol yetzir nivra le'ein nasa v'cheftzol kol azayin melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot ha'kol levado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yeh betifara ve'hu echad ve'ein sheni le'hamshir lo le'achbira ve'li reishit ve'li tachlit ve'lo ha'oz ve'ha'misra ve'hu eli ve'chai go'ali ve'tzur chevli ve'etzara ve'hu nisi u'manos li menat kosi ve'yomeh. It's a gift to be simple, a gift to be free. It's a gift to come here where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in this place just right, may it be like a valley of love and delight. Beyado afkid ruchi beit ishan ve'aira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We'll see you in the lobby for Kiddush. Come and let's connect with one another. Shabbat shalom.